Hey, good afternoon. It's Bob Parker here in South Central Missouri, Texas County to be exact. And I just wanted to go over real quick some of the issues that we've faced here over the years. I moved here, bought a farm here in Texas County in 1977, bought a small wore out cattle farm over here by Raymondville, Missouri. And I live right now a couple miles away from there as the crow flies. I moved here from western Kansas, grew up on a farm out there, and actually was born in Wichita, lived in the city until my father died, and then my mom remarried a western Kansas wheat farmer. We moved out there on the farm, ran some cattle, ran some sheep, did a lot of row crop out there, wheat, milo, little alfalfa. I had a couple of creeks running through our property, and that's where I learned to roam around and carry a gun and do some hunting. And so that's kind of my background. Um, I'm a country boy through and through. I love the country. I love the Second Amendment. I am a gun guy. I am a freedom guy, and I believe strongly in property rights. And my family, a bunch of farmers out there in Kansas, and they strongly believe in property rights. So that's my background. Pretty old school, pretty simple for me. I just wanted to go over. I had a dairy farm for a number of years here, and uh, the government kept getting involved. They would come up with these regulations and things, and we had no input in them. You'd have somebody sitting in an office that never run a dairy farm, had no idea what we deal with, and would come up with these stupid regulations and just I refer to it death by a thousand cuts. It's just one thing after another they come up with. They got to justify their job, their big salary. And then you get involved with state, federal agencies, and they're in cahoots with the United Nations and all of their agencies and all of the crap that they come up with. And it all rains down on people out here trying to produce and just make a living and be productive and God fearing and do a good job out here in the country to make a living. And they don't, they don't want to leave us alone. The government's involved in everything anymore. And just want to talk about just kind of what we've dealt with. Years ago, they did this UN Man in the Biosphere program was going to take over the Ozark region. They had a map of it. And they would basically turn this whole Ozark region, much of it, into Man in the Biosphere program with the United Nations. Now, they've done these all over the world. You can Google it, and you can find them all over the world, and they're so proud of their biosphere reserves all over the place. So what they do is they regulate them, they lock them down, so producers are more, and developers, everybody are totally regulated. And so we exposed that, what it was going to do. A group of us here, there's quite a few people here that love their property, believe in freedom and property rights, and have researched what the United Nations is all about and what they are doing and how they're working with our federal and state agencies implementing all this sustainability stuff. All the sustainability language that you hear is United Nations stuff. Sustainable farming, sustainable medicine, sustainable education, sustainable, you go on and on and on. They've got this sustainability regulations and restrictions all the way through. They want to regulate everything man does on the planet. They really do. Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, and you're like, well, this guy's a conspiracy nut. You really need to take a look. I mean, the media is not going to tell you what they're doing, but you really need to take a look at what the United Nations is doing and how they're working with all these non-governmental organizations, NGOs, and implementing all this stuff. Uh, I won't do a deep dive there other than say I encourage you to do a deep dive on all this sustainability and stuff and where it's coming from. So we had the Man in the Biosphere. We got that shut down. We had the Natural Streams Act to regulate all of our streams and water. had bumper stickers all over the Ozarks, Stop the Natural Streams Act. They wanted to restrict all kinds of, whether you could use your cattle around streams, all kinds of regulations. We had a 13 county national heritage area. I was very involved in that. Did a letter, sent it to county commissioners all across the region and explaining all the details of what that meant for the Ozarks. And once they got educated, they were great, but they were told by the proponents that this would be a great program and make them lots of money. So, and that's what I've found is exposing the truth and the details about the programs is how we get it stopped, to reach people like you. If people like you listening to this don't research and get involved, we won't stop this stuff. I can't stop it. The only thing I can do is shine a light on it, so you can help stop it. So they did this 13 county national heritage area, exposed that, got that stopped. We did a couple of efforts on scenic byway programs and all the regulations. They say, well, it's just a scenic byway, scenic highway we're going to have. But when you look into the details of that, if you're standing on the highway at 6 feet in height, what you can see from that highway, everything in the view shed, in that corridor, they can regulate what color paint you put on your house, what kind of building you can build. I mean, all of it. They can restrict all of it. No signage, all of that they restrict on a scenic byway. And we've stopped a couple of them. A couple of counties were stupid enough to implement it up north of here. But don't fall for that. They come in and they just, if their lips are moving, they're lying, is all I can say. Every time I've dealt with this stuff, they never tell you the truth. They're always telling you some fairy tale story, how wonderful it'll be and how it'll help you. And we're from the government. We're here to help, which is absolutely a lie. They're here to destroy your livelihood is what they're really going to do. Had the national blueways to take this whole region into a national blueway. I was instrumental in exposing that, stopping that, getting legislators involved in that, and we got that stopped after we exposed the national blueway. One thing they want to do, I want to put meters on our water wells. So they could measure how much water was coming out of your well so they could start charging you to use water. I mean, why else would you want to meter a well? If they can't measure it, they can't man it. If they can't measure it, they measure it so they can manage it. There we go. So we exposed that. We got that stopped. So it's just been one thing after another on this region. And it's like, why? And they're doing this all over. It's not just the Ozarks, but why do they want to control the Ozarks? I mean, there's been a big push here to control this region. And other things they've been doing is this rewilding program, restocking otters. We've got bears everywhere. We've got mountain lions. So we've got mountain lions on cameras around my properties. Lots of bear pictures now. We have the endangered hellbender in our rivers now. And one thing about that, I was real involved in the sand and gravel task force. And they were coming up with these ridiculous regulations, DNR was. And they started having hearings. And one of the things I made a big noise about, we have no representation. You're having all your agency people, Missouri Department of Conservation, DNR, EPA, all those kind of agencies, and you're not getting input from any of the people out here that actually own land and have streams. Now, I personally didn't have a stream, but I saw this as an opportunity to work with these people and expose and represent people and property rights. So that's how I got involved. And we spent a year, and that's another whole video series on all the things that happened in that. But we got that slowed down. We didn't get it stopped. And they basically restricted all gravel removal from the streams here in the Ozarks. Well, consequently, because of that, the cost of highways has been greatly increased, and the streams have filled up with gravel. And so the hellbender, which is a big salamander that lives in our rivers, he lives in rocks and crevices and stuff down, and those places all got filled in with gravel. So now we have this endangered hellbender on the endangered species list because of their. If they would have allowed in-stream gravel removal, we could have kept those streams clear, like they do up in Montauk State Park. They take out their gravel, they get track hose in there, take the gravel out, so the fish have habitat in there. But they won't let you do it in the river. So consequently, the rivers are filled in with gravel. We could have used that gravel on highways, all kinds of projects. But they stopped that. They leave it all in the river. Now they have quarries. They blast with dynamite. Now they're getting a much poor quality material, limestone, much softer. Our highways break apart. It's cost Missouri literally billions of dollars over the years in this poor quality material. The streams have filled in, but that's what they want. And they wanted an endangered species, and they got it with the hellbender. Now they're breeding them and releasing them, but they won't do well because the streams are filled in with gravel. But evidently that's not going to be dealt with in any kind of a reasonable way. But, the Missouri Department of Conservation has all these wonderful ideas. Multiflora rose was one of them. Grow a living fence. Now we have multiflora rose choking everywhere. I mean, it's a very invasive rose bush that the birds eat the seeds, and they bomb the little seeds with fertilizer all over our farms and fence lines and everywhere. So now we have this rose bush that's an invasive species. It's everywhere now. Thank you, Missouri Department of Conservation, for your great science. Great science on the otter restocking. I mean, you said otters didn't really have too many babies a year. It would be a reasonable program to say stock these otters. They found out the otters reproduce way faster than they thought they did, and they eat all the fish in the streams. And it took several years for them to allow trapping and stuff, but it's still a huge issue. They get into small private lakes and ponds and clean them out. I mean, that's why they wiped them out, because otters are such efficient predators, and they're great little animals. I mean, they're cute as heck, but they are very detrimental to fishing and other little critters, birds. I mean, they eat everything they can eat. They can reach. Bradford pears, another thing that's spreading all over as a result of their nursery handing out Bradford pear starts to school kids and everywhere else. They planted those all over. Now we have these thorny Bradford pears growing all the place. So I just wanted to do a little rundown. Now we have Missouri Department of Conservation and other agencies are getting millions of dollars to do this insane deer shooting program. They're shooting these deers. 99% test negative for chronic wasting disease. They don't even test the brain and spinal cord. They're testing lymph nodes, which doesn't even test for that. But they kill deer. Deer have to be killed to do that. And they found one deer in my county. They killed several hundred deer. And none of those tested positive. But this is their great science to kill a bunch of healthy deer to slow the spread. So it's pretty easy. I mean, slow the spread. Just shoot a bunch of deer. You're going to slow the spread. That's all they have to do. Slow the spread. And they get about they said that they got about one of the MDC guy. Jason Isabel on her local radio station. They asked him how much MDC gets for this program. He said about $800,000 a year. It's a loser program for them. Find out they get nearly $6 million a year. And it's really not a loser program. They have hired a bunch of staff, a bunch of people. They've got a whole organization for this CWD thing. Now they're started it with one county. Now 80% of the state is in a CWD. Nothing they're doing is working. 80% of the state's in a CWD zone. It'll be 100%. They're testing, they're shooting deer. They got all these snipers shooting deer, piling corn up. We got these baiting restrictions. I mean, it's just insane what these people are doing. And it's not slowing and stopping anything. that's another deep dive. But these are some of the things that we've fought over the years. And, why do they want this Ozark region? Do they want the water? What do they want here? They did a flyover thing the other day, this summer. They were flying over, scanning the Ozarks for rare earths and I don't know what all they were scanning for, but they flew that plane in a grid pattern all over the Ozarks, within the media. And, what did they find? What are they looking for? I mean, we're a mineral rich area. And, we have the lead belt, which has all kinds of trace metals over there. I don't know what kind of rare earths are available here. Then I don't know that they're saying what's available here. But and then we find out a couple of months ago we have this Trans-America corridor that they want to run right through the middle of the Ozarks. And the corridor, according to their documents, the corridor is like 300 miles wide, according to their documents. So it's going to take in nearly all the Ozarks. That's how wide the Ozarks is, basically. For the most part, 300 miles catches most of the Ozarks. And it's the length of it, it goes from coast to coast. It goes from Washington, D.C., clear out in California, going to cut through Springfield over to Wichita. It's going to, go through Cape Girardeau, across on over there, heading east. So it's Paducah, Kentucky. It's a huge corridor, and they talk about water pipelines, shipping water down to the desert Southwest in these waters. Like, well, where's the water coming from? And they passed a water bill. Missouri passed a water bill recently about how they would regulate the sale of water. DNR would be involved in that. Those wonderful people at DNR, I'm sure they'll do a great job. Anyway, I just say this stuff to let you know. I mean, they have plans for the Ozarks. If they're not stopped, who knows what we'll be dealing with. They're talking about high-speed rail and this Trans-America corridor. I mean, they say it's a new kind of corridor. They compare it to the Panama Canal. That's how huge this is. I mean, people don't realize here in the Ozarks how huge this project is. And people say, well, they'll never get funding for it. Missouri Department of Transportation doesn't have funding. Folks, they're going to get funding. It took them 4 years to go across Mexico with one. They're doing them in Europe. This is a global push. This is sustainable transportation. They want to have trucks on there without drivers. They want to call it an international trade zone. This 300-mile wide. I mean, I guess they haven't clarified that. I haven't heard an exact width other than what's in their documents. I mean, I guess you're just supposed to trust them because they're with the government. However, due to all the things that I've worked on in the past and all the things that I've found out, they don't tell you the truth. They don't tell you the truth on what they're really up to and how it's going to impact you. I don't trust anything they say. I look at the documents. I mean, we found this out on the Animal ID program. They want to ID with radio frequency, RFID frequency, ear tags. We fought that. I mean, we had 100 meetings around the state of Missouri, me and a group of other great patriots, and trying to stop that. People all over the country have fought that. Cattlemen all over have fought the Animal ID program. Well, they're implementing it right now. They're forcing regulations right now. It's absolutely going to devastate ranchers. We already have a beef shortage. Well, I wonder why. We've had an attack on rural America and ranching forever since I've been involved in it. Since I was 20 years old, I've dealt with these insane regulations and things that they're doing, and these depressed prices that ranchers deal with, and dairy people deal with, livestock people deal with. I mean, it's, but in the store, the price is sky high. Out here on the farm, you can't pay your bills. That's why our cattle numbers are the lowest since they've been keeping records in recent history. I mean, it goes way back. That's why cattle prices are so high. That's why we see cattle prices at the sale barn. We're finally getting some money because they've realized that if we don't get some money, there ain't going to be any cattle. So or other things. So, the government is not helping us. We need, we need people to investigate these agencies. We need to investigate the packer concentration on the slaughter of cattle. They've eliminated a lot of the small butcher shops, packers. We've got like four majors that do, 80% of the control of the price to a large extent. Anyway, I go on and on. I'm gonna cut it short there, but I just wanted to give a little synopsis of what I've been involved with, and others have been involved with. We've been fighting. It hadn't made the news, folks, very much. The news isn't covering the Trans-America Corridor to any extent at all. They label people like me as some nutcase out there, conspiracy whack job. I mean, even people that are against this that really haven't researched think that what I'm talking about is when I talk about the United Nations and all this sustainable stuff, they think I'm some whack job. Well, all I can say is research it for yourself. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is conspiracy. These people are grouping together and taking over our property. They're destroying our country. They're destroying our freedom. They're going to regulate and tax everything you do if they're not stopped. And the way I want to stop them is educate people and get them to get involved. Vote for people that will represent your interest, and people that aren't sold out to these people throwing all this money around to get people to go around and tell all these wonderful things their next new project's going to do. So anyway, thank you for listening, and may God save our wonderful Ozarks and the rest of the country. Have a great day.